Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diriye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, Description of the Kingdom of God. Text number 40 onwards. Pintahan shuke prithu nitambini visfurantya kanchale virutaya vanmalyacha valgu prakoshta valayam vinata sutanste vinyasta hastam mitrena dhunanamabjam. He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth covering his large hips, and he wore a garland of fresh flowers which was distinguished by humming bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested one of his hands on the shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, and twirled a lotus with another hand. See the beauty of the Lord. I mean, this is how he is described. And Vedic texts are the only texts where the beauty of the Lord, not the pastimes of the Lord, his associates, his daily dealings, everything is described in detail. Here is a full description of the personality of Godhead as personally experienced by the sages. The Lord's personal body was covered with yellow robes, and his waist was thin. In Vaikuntha, whenever there is a flower garland on the chest of the personality of Godhead, or any one of his associates, it is described that the humming bees are there. All these features were very beautiful and attractive for the devotees. One of the Lord's hands rested on his carrier, Garuda, and in other hand he twirled a lotus flower. These are personal characteristics of the personality of Godhead, Narayan. So one hand he had on the shoulders of Garuda, and the other hand he was twirling the lotus flower. Vidyut kshipan makar kundal mand narhangand sthalona samukham mani mat kiritam dordanda shand vivare harta parardhya haren kandhar gatena chakostubhena. His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with a gem known by the name Kaustubh. See, the line, it says, his countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants. So it's not the pendants or the garland or the necklace that is going to enhance his beauty. His beauty enhances the beauty of everything else. That is our Lord. Text 42. Atropasristamiti chotasmitmindiraya swanam dhiya virachitam bahusoshthu vadyam mayam bhavasya bhavatam cha bhajantamanga nemur niriksha navitrit drisho mudake. The exquisite beauty of Narayan, being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, was so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigods, the Lord who thus manifested himself is worshipable by me, by Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The sages regarded him with unsated eyes and joyously bowed their heads at his lotus feet. So his beauty is so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune also in being most beautiful. And that's Ghanshyam. That his color is blackish blue, and still he's so beautiful. And he is worshipable. Brahmaji is telling all the demigods, he is worshipable even by me, by Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The beauty of the Lord was so enchanting that it could not be sufficiently described. The goddess of fortune is supposed to be the most beautiful sight within the spiritual and material creations of the Lord. She has a sense of being the most beautiful, yet her beauty was defeated when the Lord appeared. In other words, the beauty of the goddess of fortune is secondary in the presence of the Lord. In the words of Vaishnava poets, it is said that the Lord's beauty is so enchanting that it defeats hundreds of thousands of cupids. That's how beautiful he is. He is therefore called Madan Mohan. It is also described that the Lord sometimes becomes mad after the beauty of Radharani. Poets describe that under those circumstances, although Lord Krishna is Madan Mohan, he becomes Madan Daha, or enchanted by the beauty of Radharani. Actually, the Lord's beauty is super excellent, surpassing even the beauty of Lakshmi in Vaikuntha. The devotees of the Lord in Vaikuntha planets want to see the Lord as the most beautiful. But the devotees in Gokul, O Krishna Lord, want to see Radharani as more beautiful than Krishna. The adjustment is that the Lord, being Bhakvatsal, or one who wants to please his devotees, assumes such features so that the devotees, like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other demigods, may be pleased. Here also for the devotee sages, the Kumaras, the Lord appeared in his most beautiful feature, and they continued to see him without satiation, and wanted to continue seeing him more and more and more. And so Lord Narayan is more beautiful than Lakshmi, but Krishna is not. In Radharani is more beautiful than Krishna. She even attracts Krishna. There's so many beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So many. Where Krishna becomes her servant. And she does man and she gets angry at him and he has to go and pacify her. And Radharani's beauty, in fact, this was somebody like when we are taught deity dressing, and when I used to do Radha Parthasarthi dressing. Now Radharani is there, Parthasarthi is there, and it is a personal experience. Radharani, being very straightforward, very simple, she gets dressed very fast. But for Parthasarthi, we have to do so much. We have to make sure the turban is okay, and like look at this is Radha Kalachandji behind me. Kalachandji's face, beautiful, but he has to be decorated, he has to be done painting on, the garland has to be done properly, and his dhoti has to be done. But Radharani, she just dressed very fast, and she looks much more beautiful than Krishna. Of course, their beauty is dependent upon each other. Krishna, when he looks at Radharani being beautiful, his beauty increases. And Radharani, when she sees Krishna being happy and his beauty is increasing, her beauty increases. So there is a constant competition between the two. Their beauty increases because when they see the beauty of other increasing and the happiness of the other person is feeling. There is no words actually to describe that. It's something you have to feel, something you have to experience. And also it is an experience of all the devotees that on Janmashtami, when it is Krishna's birthday, Radharani looks more beautiful. And on Radhashtami, Krishna looks more beautiful because they both are happy seeing the other uh, consort being decorated nicely or being fed so nicely and being their appearance day. It is their beauty is in their love for each other, and it's difficult, very difficult to describe. तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द किञ्जल्कमिश्र तुलसी मकरन्द वायु अन्तर्गतः स्वविवरेण चकार तेषाम् सङ्गोभ म अक्षरजुषामपि चित्ततनवो. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change both in the body and in the mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. It appears from this verse that the four Kumaras were impersonalists or protagonists of the philosophy of monism, becoming one with the Lord. But as soon as they saw the Lord's features, their minds changed. In other words, the impersonalist who feels transcendental pleasure in striving to become one with the Lord is defeated when he sees the beautiful transcendental features of the Lord. Because of the fragrance of his lotus feet carried by air and mixed with the aroma of tulsi, their minds changed. And instead of becoming one with the Supreme Lord, they thought it wise to be devotees. Becoming a servitor of the lotus feet of the Lord is better than becoming one with the Lord. So, as I said earlier, they were Brahmavadis, and but somehow they attained Vaikuntha. Although Brahmavadis don't go to Vaikuntha planet, but somehow four Kumaras they attained Vaikuntha planet, and somehow they had the desire to see the Lord. But once they saw the Lord, once they saw the beauty of the Lord, once they smelled the aroma of lotus feet of the Lord, mixed with tulsi leaves, because at his lotus feet also tulsi leaves are always there. Then their mind changed dramatically. As soon as they smelled the aroma coming from the lotus feet of the Lord, so they became devotees just by smelling the tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of the Lord. Devamushya vadanasit padma kosham udvikshya sundar taradhar kundhasam labdhashisha punaravekshya tadiyamangre dvandvam nakarunam mani sharanam nidadhyu. The Lord's beautiful face appeared to them like the inside of a blue lotus, and the Lord's smile appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. Thus they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again, and so they finally achieved meditation on the Lord's personal feature. Punsam gatim rigatam ihi yoga marga dhyanaspadaam bahumatam nayanabhiramam panstram vapur darshayan manyan siddhar outpatikah samgrinam yutmashta bhoga. This is the form of the Lord which is meditated upon by the followers of the yoga process, and it is pleasing to the yogis in meditation. It is not imaginary but factual, as proved by great yogis. The Lord is full in 8 kinds of achievement, but for others these achievements are not possible in full perfection. The success of the yoga process is very nicely described here. It is specifically mentioned that the form of the Lord as four-handed Narayan is the object of meditation for the followers of Yoga Marga. In the modern age, there are so many so-called yogis who do not target the meditation on the four-handed Narayan form. Some of them try to meditate on something impersonal or void. That's not approved by the great yogis who follow the standard method. The real Yoga Marga process is to control the senses, sit in a solitary and sanctified place, and meditate on the four-handed form of Narayan, decorated as described in this chapter as he appeared before the four sages. This Narayan form is Krishna's expansion, therefore the Krishna conscious movement, which is now spreading as the real topmost process of yoga practice. So the yogis are supposed to meditate on this Narayan feature. Even in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, think of me, meditate on me. Not just meditate on light, on void, or candle, or something else. And how to meditate on him. The features of Narayan are given. The beauty of Narayan is told here. And the jewelry that he is wearing, the garland he is wearing, and the bees that are humming at the garland. Everything is mentioned. All we have to do is just meditate on that form. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that meditation on the personal feature is much more easier than meditation on impersonal feature. Krishna consciousness is the highest yoga performance by trained devotional yogis. Despite all the allurements of yoga practice, the 8 kinds of yogic perfections are hardly achievable by the common man. But here it is described that the Lord who appeared before the 4 sages is himself full of all 8 of those perfections. The highest yoga marga process is to concentrate the mind 24 hours a day on Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. The yoga system is described in Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita, or as recommended in the Patanjali yoga process, is different from the nowadays practice Hatha Yoga as it is generally understood in the Western countries. So that was a real yoga, to concentrate, to meditate on the Supreme Lord, Narayan or Krishna. But these days in Western countries, or even in India, India is following the Western countries blindly. They do all kinds of different yogas, so-called yoga. They do just like Prabhupada said, gymnastics or jumping jack exercises, and they call it yoga. That's not yoga. Real yoga practice is to control the senses, and after such control is established, to concentrate the mind on the Narayan form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. That is a yoga. That is a samadhi stage. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the other Vishnu forms with 4 hands decorated with conch, lotus, club, and wheel are plenary expansions of Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended that one meditate upon the form of the Lord. To practice concentration of the mind, one has to sit with the head and back in a straight line, and one must practice in a secluded place, sanctified by a sacred atmosphere. The yogi should observe the rules and regulations of brahmacharya to strictly live a life of self-restraint and celibacy. One cannot practice yoga in a congested city, living a life of extravagancy, including unrestricted sex indulgence and adultery of the tongue. So yoga means control. Very much control is required. Control of the mind and the senses. So following some lots of rules and regulations to do Hatha Yoga. Yoga practice necessitates controlling the senses, and beginning of sense control is to control the tongue. One who can control the tongue can also have control over the other senses. One cannot allow the tongue to tell all kinds of forbidden food and drink and at the same time advance in the practice of yoga. It's very regrettable that many unauthorized so-called yogis come to the Western countries and exploit people's inclination towards yoga practice. Such unauthorized yogis even dare to say publicly that one can indulge in the habit of drinking and at the same time practice meditation. And this is what Prabhupada, when he came to US, so many yogic masters but they are specifically, what's his name? Mahesh Yogi, or whatever his name was. And he had lots of gathering, lots of followers. And Prabhupada had some talks with him. And he told Prabhupada that you are in the West, you should wear clothes and and start eating like Western people with the spoon and the fork and the knife. And Prabhupada told him, I'm not here to take anything from them, but I'm here to give them something. And Prabhupada did mention at some place that if either he was told by that yogi or his followers, or he said himself that if he had relaxed his rules, he would have millions of followers. But Prabhupada said, I'm not here to relax the rules. I'm here to give something, something real, something tangible. The Supreme Lord, I'm here to give. And I'm not here to cheat anybody. Still, Prabhupada had so many followers. Just imagine if Prabhupada said, okay, forget about, even if he hadn't mentioned drinking and meat eating, so whatever you want to do is okay, just chant. He definitely would have millions of followers. But this practice was so difficult for people to follow. So he didn't have too many followers. Of course, still he had many, many. Just like when disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, they went to England to preach, and there was one Lord, so-called Lord, whatever title they used to give to, and this Lord came to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's disciples and asked them, "Can you make me Brahman?" And the disciples said, "Yes, of course we can make you Brahman, but you're going to stop eating meat, stop drinking, stop gambling, and stop illicit sex." And that the so-called Lord said, no, it's not at all possible for me. And he went away. But this is something we have to give up to attain something much more beautiful. Look at the beauty of the Lord. Look at the devotees of the Lord. Look at the Vaikuntha world. All this is waiting for us. All we have to do is just give up these practices and take up chanting the Holy Names. That's all. So it's a long purport, so maybe tomorrow we'll take up this purport further. So we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Beautifully explained. Very nicely explained.
Thank
and
you.
Especially the beauty of Krishna. Superb. Very nice.
Chalo, I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.